Red Hood and the Outlaws, issue number 13. I have to say, this has probably become one of my most favorite series to read, and the one that I most look forward to. The Dark Trinity team of Jason Todd, Bizarro, and Artemis is like, it's really cool. Like, I'm surprised at how well they mesh together. It is a lot better than a lot of other superhero team ups that I've seen. This one actually feels more organic. I guess the best way to describe it would basically be Jason Todd and Artemis are kind of the parents of the group, and Bizarro is like the child. Like, it sounds weird, but it's actually pulled off like really well. So in the previous issue, we found out that Bizarro is slowly dying. Basically, his genes, his DNA is deteriorating, and he's told to basically just rest. Like, there's no cure, and he's just gonna die. But if he rests, he'll like live longer. Meanwhile, there's a situation with Solomon Grundy causing havoc in Gotham City. So Jason Todd and Artemis go to stop him, and they get their asses kicked. Like, they just get destroyed by Solomon Grundy. So Solomon Grundy is just about to do the finishing blow on Jason when Bizarro comes and punches Solomon Grundy and basically saves him. And Jason's like telling him, so you got to knock this off, Bizarro. Like, if you, the more you keep fighting, the faster you're gonna die. And Bizarro's like, Jason's like, you got to stay down, Bizarro. And Bizarro's like, down is opposite of helping. And then, like, we see Bizarro's like weakening, and Solomon Grundy takes this opportunity to grab both Jason Todd and Artemis, and he's about to kill the both of them when Bizarro comes and delivers a knockout blow to Grundy and just keeps punching the shit out of him and like yelling like, do not hurt Bizarro's friends. And a weakened Jason and Artemis kind of look on, and they're like, Bizarro, that's enough. It's time to go home. And Bizarro kind of looks at them sadly and goes, me am home. Me here with you. And then he passes out, and basically it looks like he dies in their arms. And that's how the last issue ends. And in this issue, we start off with Bizarro telling his story, and we get like cutesy illustrations. So we see baby Bizarro being put into the pod, about to leave Krypton, and it basically just tells Superman's story about traveling through space, learning about stuff, crash landing on Earth, being found by the Clarks. And then he tells a story about how he had many friends, and the friends are the Justice League, but rather than referring to them by their names, like Green Lantern, Aquaman, so and so, he refers to them as Nightlight, Wet Wet, Go Go, Rope Lady, Cyborg, and Batman, because he's Batman. Batman is always Batman no matter what. I thought that was kind of funny. And then we see Bizarro like on an operating table, and he's like, no wait, these aren't Bizarro's memories. These Bizarro's memories start at a different place. Outside of LexCorp Towers, we have Jason Todd and Artemis, and Jason's kind of questioning if they made the right decision of bringing Bizarro to Lex Luthor to run experiments on him. And Artemis is kind of like, well, we didn't really have any choice. Lex is the one that created Bizarro, so if anyone can save him, it would be him. And then Lex Luthor walks out and basically tells them like, the truth is that Bizarro is owned and trademark property of LexCorp. But Lex kind of reassures them that I will, do my best to save him. And then he disappears, and then we get some friendly banter between Jason Todd and Artemis. And for those who haven't been reading the series, there's hints of a romance between the two, but it's actually put off really well. Like, it's not so in your face, and it's not like terrible like flirting or anything like that. Like I mentioned earlier, like they really act like almost like they're like a mother and father to Bizarro, and they basically act almost like they're like husband and wife to each other, even though there's like they're not officially together. It's strongly hinted that there's feelings there. And it's kind of like the little things like sharing each other's like secrets, sharing each other's like history, and confiding in each other, like their fears and all that stuff. Little moments, like just like small touches here and there. Like it's all very innocent stuff, but I actually like this a lot more because it almost makes the relationship seem a lot more real and grounded than, hey, you're hot, I'm hot, let's fuck, you know? But yeah, we get like some little banter between the two, and basically Jason Todd sharing his fears that they won't be able to save Bizarro, and Artemis kind of just like reassuring him that he's gonna be okay. Then we have Bizarro explaining his version of meeting Jason Todd and Artemis that we saw in the previous issues, but we actually get Bizarro's feelings and his point of view on the subject. And then he basically talks about how he woke up in the vat, and the very first thing that he sees is Jason Todd. Like Jason Todd was like the very first person that he saw, the very first person to touch him, the very first person to speak to him. And Jason Todd's first words to Bizarro, the first words Bizarro has ever heard is "It's okay, it'll be okay, big guy, trust me." And Bizarro kind of talks about how Black Mask was trying to make him into Superman, even though he's not Superman, he's his own person. Meanwhile, in a cell next to Bizarro, Artemis is teaching Bizarro the alphabet. Like she taught him letters, and then those letters turned into words, and then those words allowed Bizarro's thoughts to finally get out. And even though he never saw Artemis at this point, he knew that she had like a part in his heart. I thought, oh, that's kind of sweet. Meanwhile, Jason and Artemis are kind of like, again, they're like sharing their feelings and stuff like that. Jason's kind of talking about how he's always been an orphan for as long as he can remember, and before that, he was like an only child. And I guess that's one of the things that kind of helped the three of them bond together was the fact that they didn't really have much of a family. And he kind of says like, I feel closer to Bizarro than I've felt with any guy that I know. And then we have like this sweet little moment of Jason Todd and Bizarro playing video games. It's like, this is why I really love this series. Like you really feel the camaraderie between these three. I was very surprised because I read that the writer on this is actually the same writer who did Red Hood and the Outlaws for the New 52. And I heard that series was like a huge black mark on the New 52. Like it was considered to be the worst series out of New 52. And to be honest, I haven't heard any good things about it. But yeah, it's the same writer, and I think he's doing like a fantastic job on this series. Like I'm loving this series so far. So that was like the effects that Bizarro had on Jason Todd, and now we get the effects Bizarro had on Artemis, where she kind of explains how her whole life she's basically just been trained to become something, and that was like a protector of her people. Like she didn't really have anything else. Like she never could have just been herself. She had to always think about the long-term goals. Like her whole life was already like predetermined before she was born. But being with Bizarro kind of taught her to be able to live in the moment and just be herself. And then like we get like you see like Bizarro's like playing in the water fountain, and Artemis is just kind of like giggling as she watches on. And then we get like friendly banter where Jason Todd's like, now about this third person you let into your heart, does his name rhyme with Race and Rod? And she's like, oh my goddess, what an ego. But like, see, like everything here is done kind of sweet. Like I said, it's friendly, playful banter. It's not like insults that I've seen like in other comics where like a woman would be like attracted to a guy, but she's just like insulting him, and it's kind of like that's what you guys consider flirting. Like you're just ragging on the guy. Like there's no, I guess kind of just to go off topic, that's one of the things that bother me about Family Guy is there's nothing healthy in that family. Like I never get the sense that Peter and Lois actually have feelings for each other. Meanwhile, with Simpsons, as stupid as Homer is, you can tell he gives a shit about his family, and he does whatever he can to like protect them and help them. A lot of times, his way of doing it is kind of like nets them into deeper trouble, but he's trying, and you see his heart's in the right place. But I never got that with Family Guy. Like with Family Guy, like it looks like Peter like literally despises and hates Meg. He like there's no romantic feelings whatsoever between him and Lois. Chris is kind of just there. Like I would have to say, like the healthiest relationship in that family would probably be, I mean, in terms of Peter, would probably be Peter and Brian. But even then, it's kind of like more friends than anything. Like the healthiest relationship, I would have to say, would actually be between Stewie and Brian. Yeah, I mean, I kind of got off topic, but I'm trying to just use Family Guy as like an example of that's what I see in a lot of comics, where it's like these people are supposed to be family or they're supposed to be in love, but it doesn't come across that way. Like I'm not feeling it. Meanwhile, like with Hair, like I said, everyone feels like they actually care for each other. Like I completely buy that Jason and Artemis have feelings. I completely buy that Artemis and Bizarro and Jason Bizarro care for each other. I completely buy if something happens to one of them, the other two are going to do everything possible to save that person. Like I can believe all that, and I think it's just because it's the little moments. It's just the small glances, the little banter, the slow build. Like everything in this series has been done fucking perfect. So Lex Luthor basically has kryptonite, and he says that if I were to inject this into Superman, it'd kill him instantly. But genetically, you're the opposite of him, so maybe this could save your life. So he injects Bizarro with a dose of kryptonite. And then after the operation, Lex Luthor approaches Jason Todd and Artemis and tells them, like, Bizarro's no longer any use to me. I've had lawyers draw up papers giving you total custody. And Jason Todd, like, sarcastically says, out of the kindness of your heart, I suppose. And Lex Luthor says, nothing I do is out of the kindness of my heart. So I'm assuming that this is going to come into play sometime in the future where Lex Luthor wants something and the group has to do it because he saved Bizarro's life. So Artemis and Jason go to meet Bizarro and see how he's doing. And we get Bizarro wearing a pair of glasses, operating on equipment, and talking in full grammatically correct sentences. So yeah, Bizarro's now smart. And next issue, Red Hood and the Outlaws becomes Bizarro and the Outlaws. But yeah, that's the end of the issue. Like I said, like I really am enjoying the series. Like the camaraderie between these three is amazing. I need to come up with a new word because I find myself saying amazing a lot. It's fantastical. It's perfect. It's sublime. It hits all the right points. It's great. But yeah, I just like I said, I'm a huge fan of this team up. Like I love all the relationships between all three of these characters. Everything about the series has been really great so far. I'm really looking forward to where it goes next. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll catch you guys all next time. Later.